Chapter 10. Input. In this chapter, we'll introduce the form and input HTML tags. These are used to obtain input from users that can be used in a PHP script. We'll also see how PHP has some special predefined variables that are essential to dealing with user input. And we'll have a look at the difference between the get and post methods when submitting a form. Let's take a minute now to evaluate the usefulness of our example so far. It's great that we can output so many different values automatically, but what if someone's looking to find out how many centimeters are in 2.75 inches? What about 8.1? What if they're looking to convert yards to meters? Of course, it's impossible to know ahead of time what unit and value someone's looking to convert, so why not ask? Throughout this video so far, we've been explicitly assigning constant values to variables. Now, we'll show you how your program can get values from users by inputting them into HTML form input elements. You're certain to have seen and maybe even used some of these to do things like sign up for web pages and submit emails through website contact forms. This is an excellent example of how we can interact with users through the use of forms and PHP. A form will typically have one or more input controls where the user can enter text, select from a number of different choices in a drop-down box or radio group, or provide a yes/no answer with a checkbox. Finally, one or more buttons to submit the information are also provided. Once the user has finished supplying information using the input controls and clicks on the submission button, a request is sent to the URL specified in the action parameter of the form that contains all of the input information that the user supplied. We've set the action of the form, or the submission target, to the file submitform.php. When we fill in the form using a browser and click on the Send button, the script uses a function called printr to display the variables that were passed to the script from the form. Looking at submitform.php, notice the use of the variable $_post. We didn't declare this variable, so where's it coming from? These special predefined variables are called superglobals in PHP. They make accessing request and server information very simple. Example 10 shows some of the more commonly used superglobals. Let's open up our contact form again and change the action of the form so that when the user submits the form, it goes to example10.php. Save the file. Now load the contact form again in the browser. Fill in your name, your email, and the rest of the information, and hit the send button. Instead of just seeing the post array, now we see the get, post, and request arrays. These are all used in conjunction with information submitted through forms. Now if we go back to our contact form again and change the method to get, save the file, and make sure to reload and refresh the page, fill in some information, and click on the Send button. Now we see the information displayed in the get array. Notice in both cases, the information was also shown in the request array. Also notice that after we set this to get, all of the information supplied now shows up in the URL address bar. This is one of the main benefits to using post when submitting your forms. There are two important characteristics of requests using the post method. First, the parameters aren't displayed in the user's browsers. And second, search engines don't usually make requests using the post method. The get method is often used where the opposite effects are desirable. With this, the parameters are visible in the URL, and pages can be bookmarked. One example of where this might be desirable is in a search input field. Users can bookmark the search results instead of having to re-enter the same search the next time they visit your site. Working with form input in PHP is simple when you remember these quick tips. In the action parameter of an HTML form element, we need to reference a PHP script. The form also needs to contain various input elements. Remember that when the user submits the form, the name parameter of the input element will be used as the key of the request array. The value the user entered is stored in the request array, indexed by the above key. When the form is submitted to a PHP script, the input is stored in either the get or post array, plus it always appears in the request array. Finally, there are some fundamental differences between the get and post methods when submitting a form. Make sure that you're aware of them and that you select the best fit for your application.